Okay, we need to talk about something unique. Even if it's a bad argument, I want to ask,
how do we know God exists?
yeah, that. Wait. This week we have a video based on an article by John Parrott, a scholar specializing in Middle Eastern studies. Now, I have looked at this video a bit, and it does a bit of rambling, but it's worth a video. This one is over the Quran, and has a really, Demon, how would you describe this? And please don't just be sarcastic.
How does it feel to be such a total failure?
No. This guy put in a lot of work. Say something nice.
Oh, no.
Then what would you want to say?
You're a loser, baby.
Right, Demon's not going to be any help with this one.
I'm the fucking man, and you're just some fucking clown or something.
Moving right along.
Hey!
Pure angelic power.
Let's do this.
How can we say with conviction that God exists?
Stop that!
No.
Cut it out! We've got to continue.
Okay, fine.
Good. Now, to answer his question, you can't say it with conviction. At least not honestly. Even Islam says Allah hasn't revealed himself physically for 2 millennia.
Justin Barrett is a cognitive scientist. He showed that scientifically, belief in God's existence is formed in 2 ways.
Delusion and desperation.
1. Non-reflective intuition resulting from experience. And 2. Reflective conscious beliefs resulting from thoughts.
I was close. People say God is totally real and you should believe it because you think it feels right. Or you need God to be real to justify something, so you rationalize it in your head using some weird logic tree so you can believe it.
Basically, intuition and experience plus logic and thought.
Fuck, that was right? That shouldn't have actually been right at all. I was making fun of the whole thing. Please explain.
Similarly, the Quran and Sunnah show that belief in God's existence is formed in 2 ways.
Delusion and desperation, and this time I know I'm right.
1. By appealing to the heart, intuition, and experience.
Damn it! Oh well. All this is saying is people believe it because it just feels right. I'm sorry, but the existence of a deity has no relation to your innermost fifis.
And 2. By appealing to the mind, logic, and reason.
Well, my mind logically can understand you have no real reason to believe. And like I said before, this tends to go down the route that a person tries to use logic to justify to themselves why they already believe in a thing out of faith, which definitionally is illogical.
But how exactly do the 2 ways work together to allow a person to comprehend the existence of God?
I would make a guess here, but I have a feeling this is going to be just fucking stupid. I can't wait to hear this.
Let's break it down by category. Human beings could recognize the existence of God through intuition and experiences that appeal to the heart.
Appeals to the heart generally mean what feels right. Like if you love someone, you know it in your heart. Intuition is just a gut feeling, but that just means that you feel it's right. But that is, again, just appealing to your feelings. Now, experience is different. Things you experience are in some ways tangible, like feeling heat, knowing what a rough sandpaper feels like, and what something tastes like. But you can't really experience a god unless they reach out and touch you or make themselves known to you. But there isn't anyone alive today that can honestly say they have had that experience. Sure, there are a few liars and charlatans that will claim they can talk to God, but they've been shown to be either insane or liars. Hi, Kent. In the end, if you are appealing to a heart, you are using the experience you have and your personal guessing to believe in what feels right, instead of using experience and research to understand what your experience actually is. If I am right, and this is what he is talking about, this is entirely an appeal to emotion fallacy.
Intuitions of the heart start with pure instinct. Humans can sense that a power higher than them exists. In Islamic spiritual terms, this is because before the world was created, God gathered all the souls together and they made a covenant that they would recognize their creator.
Yep, but let's see how he justifies this to prove he is right.
It says in the Quran, "When your Lord took out the offspring from the loins of the children of Adam and made them bear witness about themselves, he said, 'Am I not your Lord?' And they replied, 'Yes, we bear witness.' So you cannot say on the day of resurrection, 'We were not aware of this.'" This primordial covenant results in an innate impulse within people that compels them to seek out a higher power.
The Quran is true because the Quran says you already know, so your emotional desire for a God to exist means a God does exist. So which one? Romans chapter 1 verse 20 says the Christian God is real because you know it to be true because of what you experience. Romans 1:20. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what was made, so people are without excuse. And over in Psalms chapter 14 verse 1 and Psalms 53:1, the fool says in his heart there is no God. They are corrupt, they do abominable deeds. There is none who does good. And if you look at almost every faith there is, they will all say you actually know of that deity because of your intuition. So really the Quran says nothing special there, and you can't look at any of them as truth.
Experiencing peace, comfort, and contentment in worship provides the greatest proof for the existence of God.
Not really. Most believers only believe because they need answers to questions. More and more people are converting to atheism because they find the answers they wanted or just become content with not knowing. Feeling right isn't a real answer to anything, really. In this sense, God is just a placeholder for the actual truth.
Having the sweetness of faith or being grounded and certain in the truth of faith to the point of feeling spiritual pleasure is another proof. This experience results in a stability of being, so that believers are always calm no matter what hardships they go through.
Then why do I have debates with Muslims that want to defend their faith? Again, just because a person feels right and has an emotional connection with their beliefs doesn't mean Allah actually exists. It's actually very calming for a person to keep faith and believe, but that's not because their faith is accurate. It's because they think they know the answers to their deeper questions.
But it still needs to appeal to the mind, logic, and reason. This starts when humans begin to ask themselves, why am I here? Why is there a world and a universe? Why is there something and not nothing?
And there are the great questions. Why are we here? No reason specifically. The universe is ripe for life, but there's no rhyme or reason for it. No greater purpose. Why is there a world and a universe? Again, no real reason for it. But then again, compare this to an existence without a universe. If there were no universe, we wouldn't even be here to have this as a question. Why is there something and not nothing? Really, this is the same question, but if there was nothing, we wouldn't be here to ask. All of these questions can give a very uncaring answer, and we are a social species that has feelings and emotions. For an answer to be that cold and emotionless, we want to fill it with an answer we like. But what answer do you give as a reason for the universe? We make up a loving and virtuous God because we don't have anything else that feels warm and caring. Then we make up tons of things just to have answers to questions we can't otherwise answer. And it's only when you finally understand that there isn't anyone out there watching over us that you can advance and make your reason for living something that gives you real happiness instead of the fake bullshit that comes with a God concept.
You are so cute when you are serious.
And besides, who really says that God is loving and virtuous? A God could be hateful and resentful, and it would make more sense on why there is so much pain and suffering in the world. And you can see it in just the arguments that different theists give. Watch this next thing our subject says.
Since the universe is one giant series of causes and effects, it's reasonable to conclude that it had an original cause that set it in motion. God says in the Quran, were they created out of nothing? Were they the creators? Did they create the heavens and the earth? No, they do not have faith.
That's the cosmological argument. This is the same argument that everyone else uses and tags in their religious book of choice to say that their God is the right one. So if everyone is saying the same thing to point to different religions, the argument itself is meaningless. As I argue back, the cosmological argument is naturalism with an extra step. So I ask that extra step be justified. Never ends up happening for some reason. Thank you, Demon. If you really look at it, the Quran doesn't say or do anything special or unique in comparison to other religious holy books. They all claim the same thing over and over from one belief to the next. The only thing that makes the Quran stand out is that it was written as sort of a song. But that is what allowed Muhammad to recite it. If it weren't done as a song, it would be far more difficult to recite. Picture trying to recite the Bible from start to finish, and then look at any singer on a planet that writes and composes music. They have hundreds of hours of music they could just recite and play at the drop of a hat. If this says anything about the Quran, it's not to credit its validity, it would be a discredit for it. A practice series of songs this guy just simply recites in order. And that would explain why a lot of the later chapters of the book are shorter and shorter. As you add new music into your song, it gets harder and harder to memorize and recite the entire thing. As a final point, just because you have an argument for your particular flavor of God, it doesn't mean it's unique. And just because you feel it's right, doesn't mean it is. On that note, I am Corsi, and this is The Fluffy Atheist. Pet those like and subscribe buttons, and if you faith around, I will help you find out what your Quran, your Bible, or whatever really says.